The story begins in the second year of the Hijrah. For 13 years in Mecca, the Muslims had endured persecution, and even after their migration to Medina, the threat from the Quraysh remained constant. The immediate catalyst for the battle was not a planned war, but an economic maneuver. Prophet Muhammad, PBUH, led a group of roughly 313 men to intercept a wealthy trade caravan led by Abu Sufyan, returning from Syria. This was intended to reclaim some of the wealth the migrants had been forced to leave behind in Mecca. However, Abu Sufyan, a master strategist, sensed the danger. He sent a frantic messenger to Mecca and diverted his caravan toward the Red Sea coast, escaping the trap. In Mecca, the cry for war was answered by an army of 1,000 well-equipped soldiers, led by the fierce Abu Jahl. Even though the caravan was safe, Abu Jahl insisted on a show of force to crush the Muslims once and for all. The gathering at the wells. The two forces converged at the Valley of Badr, a strategic location known for its water wells. The Muslims were severely outnumbered and under-equipped, possessing only 2 horses and 70 camels, which they took turns riding. Despite the odds, the Prophet, PBUH, consulted his companions. The Sahaba, led by figures like Miqdad ibn Aswad and Sa'd ibn Mu'adh, pledged their unwavering loyalty, stating they would not desert him as the followers of Moses had once done. On the eve of the battle, a light rain fell, a mercy that softened the sand for the Muslims while making the ground muddy and treacherous for the Quraysh. The Prophet, PBUH, spent the night in intense prayer, seeking divine victory for a group that represented the very survival of the faith. The day of the clash. On the morning of the 17th of Ramadan, the two armies faced each other. Following the tradition of Arabian warfare, the battle began with individual duels. 3 champions from the Quraysh, Utbah ibn Rabi'ah, his brother Shaybah, and his son Walid, stepped forward. They were met by Hamza ibn Abdul Muttalib, Ali ibn Abi Talib, and Ubaydah ibn al-Harith. In a swift display of skill, the Muslim champions defeated their opponents, though Ubaydah was mortally wounded. This psychological blow to the Quraysh was immediately followed by a general charge. The 1,000-strong Meccan cavalry surged forward, but the Muslims held a tight, defensive formation, using their arrows to thin the charging ranks before engaging in hand-to-hand combat. Divine intervention and the turning tide. As the heat of the desert intensified, so did the ferocity of the fighting. The Prophet, PBUH, took a handful of pebbles and cast them toward the Quraysh, crying out, "May these faces be deformed." History and scripture record that at this moment, the tide turned decisively. Despite their numerical superiority, the Quraysh began to feel an inexplicable terror. The Quran mentions the descent of thousands of angels to bolster the ranks and the hearts of the believers. Abu Jahl, the pharaoh of this ummah, was slain in the chaos, and the leadership of the Quraysh crumbled. The once proud Meccan army broke into a panicked retreat, leaving behind their equipment and many of their high-ranking nobles as prisoners. The aftermath and legacy. The Battle of Badr ended with 14 Muslims martyred and roughly 70 of the Quraysh killed, with another 70 taken captive. The victory was a watershed moment. It established Medina as a legitimate political and military power and proved that the Muslims were no longer a small, persecuted sect, but a force that could challenge the hegemony of the Quraysh. In the treatment of prisoners, the Prophet, PBUH, set a revolutionary precedent for the time, ordering that they be treated with kindness. Those who were literate could even earn their freedom by teaching 10 Muslim children how to read and write. This day of criteria.